Welcome. I want to thank you all for coming and joining us with our first ever video review. I've had a lot of people ask me about velocities with air rifles and the advertised velocities, and we're here today to look at a pretty mainstream gun. It's a Gamo Hunter 440. It's advertised at 1,000 feet per second or 1,200 feet per second with PBA ammo. And what we want to do today is we're going to look at this rifle. We're going to look at several different types of pellets. We're going to compare velocity, we're going to compare accuracy, and hopefully by the end of the day we're going to know for sure what this gun can do and how well it will perform. At this point, let me go through the Gamo Hunter 440 and kind of describe what we have here. This was my very first gun that I purchased as far as a break barrel high-powered rifle. I have replaced the factory scope with a Leapers 3x9x40. This gun, as with many break barrels, had a little bit of a barrel droop, which made it difficult to mount a scope. So what I've done is I've upgraded the mount to a fully adjustable mount, which allows me to center the scope before I ever adjust it. That's made it really easy to get the scope on target and then do my fine-tune adjustments with the windage and elevation knobs. Probably the largest complaint people have with Gamo is the trigger. Or taking that out of the equation by replacing it with a GRT3 trigger. It's a very easy modification. The part costs maybe $35, $36 with shipping, and it makes this a very nice shooter. Before we jump right into it, let's look a little bit at the pellets we're going to be using today. I've got a little bit of everything here. I've got my standards, which I use in this little case here. And we have everything from the RWS, I'm not even going to try and pronounce it, but y'all who watch this stuff know what this is. It's the I don't know. You guys could figure that out. But I've got some of those. I've got some RWS hobby pellets, which I'm running a little light on, so we won't do too much shooting with those today. I've got your Crossman Premiers. I've got some of the new Crossman lead-free pellets, which should give us some pretty impressive velocities. I've even got some of these Predator pellets, which are completely synthetic, or we've got these, which are completely synthetic and very lightweight. And we have some that are more sabot rounds, like these. We're going to see how they do. I'm not real hopeful, but you know, we're going to give them a shot today. And we've got the standard that Gamo uses for the 1,200 feet per second claim, which is these Gamo Raptors. I'm using a very heavy-duty 22 rimfire target trap. I have found that standard pellet traps just don't hold up, especially when you're shooting Magnum air rifles. So I went ahead and splurged and got an actual 22 rimfire trap. That has been doing great. So we're going to stop the tape here for a second and get set up to do some shooting. We're going to start with the RWS Hobby Pellet. The Hobby Pellet, I believe, is a 7-grain pellet. It is the pellet by which velocities are measured for air rifles, generally speaking. I've just finished sighting in the scope for the Hobby Pellet. One of the things we're going to see, which is going to be interesting, is just how different the point of impact will be across different pellets. So right now the scope is pretty much zeroed at 20 yards with a 7-grain Hobby Pellet. As we move from pellet to pellet, you're going to see shifts of 2 to 3 inches in groupings, depending on pellet weight and composition. So this should be kind of an interesting look at how these different pellets will perform in the Hunter 440. So we're going to get started right now with the RWS Hobby Pellets. All right, so we just did a 5-shot group with the RWS Hobby Pellets. We've got a little bit of a Crossbreeze today. The best velocity we got was 955 feet per second. The lowest we got was 936 with a difference of 19 feet per second. The groupings were okay. I would have liked to have seen a little bit tighter groups, but I noticed when the wind kicked up and it is blowing left to right, I noticed my groups migrated to the right. So we're going to switch now to a different pellet. Reset up the target, and we'll be back in just a minute. Now we're going to go right to the Crossman Premier Heavies. These pellets are 10.5 grain, which is a very heavy pellet in a 177. So we're going to see how these hit. I'm not going to change the zero on the scope. We're just going to let them fly and see where they land. like I said, this is from one extreme to the next. The Crossman Premier Heavies generated a fastest velocity of only 742 feet per second. Now remember, our hobbies at 7 grains generated 955 feet per second. The Premier Heavies were 742. There was the lowest was 726, giving us a difference of 16 feet per second. The point of impact was lower. This last shot here, where it hit number 3, that was my fault. I kind of pulled it a little bit. But you can see the shot grouping, frankly, if we were to get the ruler out, it's probably not going to be that different than the hobbies as far as the average, the group size itself. But it's just the point of impact was different. It was lower and to the left. Our next batch of pellets are these completely lead-free pellets. They're produced by Predator, the same folks that make the pointed hollow point polymer tip pellets. I met these guys at the Virginia Airgun show. They were really nice and gave me quite a few samples to use. It's the first time I've had a real good chance to show people what they will do. You're not going to get at the same sort of accuracy with these as you will with lead. The benefit is that they are environmentally friendly. They're completely lead-free. They do help out in rifles that don't have the really high velocity. Some of your pump guns, they'll help you get up to that 700 or 800 feet per second that maybe you're looking for. With a gun that already we know shoots 900 plus feet per second, some of these will definitely go supersonic. You're going to hear a crack. I'm expecting the pellets to really not be that accurate. Hopefully they'll prove me wrong. And what we'll also probably see is between here and our target, I'm expecting the pellets to actually tumble and keyhole, or in other words, go in sideways instead of hitting true. Maybe they'll prove me wrong. We're going to shoot a sampling of all 4, kind of look at the velocities, and see what kind of accuracy we get. Okay, so we were shooting these polymatch pellets, which are 4.2 grain. Now here's something that's interesting. They really didn't generate that much more velocity. Now whether that's because they didn't grab the barrel very well or they didn't seat well, I'm not sure. But here's the odd thing, if we can take a look at the target. We were shooting 20 yards away, we didn't have a single hit on the target. So I think we can pretty much rule out these polymatch pellets for use in this Gamo 440. We're going to move on to the next pellet and see what we get. All right, we are looking here at a shot group that we just shot. These are called orange stingers. They're 5.7 grain. As you can see, they have a little sabot sleeve, and that little pellet was actually not bad. Our average velocity was 1,114 feet per second. Our high was 1127, low was 1106, with a difference of 21 feet per second. And as you can see, this is 5 shots. We had one go through the same hole, had one flyer, but actually it wasn't a bad grouping for an ultralight synthetic pellet. The orange stingers may be something that you'd want to give a shot. Okay, so we were just shooting steel fist lead-free pellets. As you can see, they look like little barrels, and you see that there's metal inside that little plastic skirt. These pellets did what I expected them to do. As you can see on the target, they destabilized and they actually went in sideways. It's called keyholing. We kept it on the paper, but just barely. When a pellet destabilizes like that, you can pretty much throw accuracy right out the window because you're not going to have any. Velocity was a high of 1,046 feet per second, a low of 1033, an average of 1042 with a difference of only 13 feet per second. Velocity wasn't bad, but as you can see, accuracy just not going to cut it. These pellets